right. It is Monday. We're just getting going. It's 4:05, and In Your City show is back. I'm Kelly Lamb.
I'm Gordon Montgomery.
And we are going to have some fun today. We've got some great guests ahead of us. But what's going on first in the world?
What's going on first in the world? Well, first of all, the City Museum unveils a labyrinth, a massive new maze built from St. Louis history.
What do you mean?
Well, it's got July 4th, it'll be open. City Museum invites the curious and the brave to lose yourself to find your path in Labyrinth, its largest new installation since Toddler Town debuted in 2018. Officially opening to the public on July 4th, Labyrinth is the most expansive build-out ever on the museum's 4th floor. It's combining art, architecture, and a whole lot of imagination with relics of St. Louis industrial past. And here's a couple photos I'm showing you.
Have you haven't been there lately? We did the photo shoot.
I've never
with
been
Dave.
to the St. Louis Museum.
Oh, stop
no,
it.
I've done an event on one floor.
Do I have to do another field trip with you? First of all, I had to take him to the History Museum because he'd never been in the History Museum, so we had to do a field trip there. We just have to keep doing these field trips. You were in bands too long, singing all the time. You never went anywhere.
I know.
We have to get you out. So we did Dave Glover's, of course, photo shoot there for the magazine, and I could not believe all of how much it's changed since the last time I'd been there. I mean, it's really cool. I mean, it's just, you just walk in there and the colors and it's amazing. Really.
I need to go.
It's a kid's dream.
I need to go. I haven't been.
Right.
I've never been.
We'll do a field trip and we will go there and check it out. So did you know that St. Chuck's Derby Chicks, St. Charles Fast Track Women's Roller Derby team are active, and they're looking not only for new roller skaters, but of course they're looking for new fans. There you go, Kel. Here's my new gig. Oh my gosh, I'd last like a hot second. But I used to roller skate, so I was on a speed skating team. How weird is that?
A roller skating, speed skating team?
Yeah, where you'd race. Like you do the leg crossover around the thing really fast.
Backwards.
Yeah, I really did. I mean, we're talking 6th grade or 7th grade. I mean, really, really young, which is ridiculous, but it didn't live long.
I didn't know you did that. I found out something new about you that I didn't know.
Maybe I wanted to keep that a secret.
So maybe if you could intertwine baton twirling and roller skating
at the same time. Of course, you knew that.
At the same time.
Gymnastics, cheerleading, horseback riding. I was a busy kid. I had lots to do when I was little. I can't even believe that I mentioned that I roller skated. Well, I mean, I had poms on my skates. But skates back then were the skates with 4 wheels. And you had the little rubber toe grip. Now it's the 3 wheels or whatever that go back. And then the brake is in the back. So it's like getting on a bike that has handbrakes for the first time after you've been a kid riding a bike that has the pedals.
Okay.
So it's a big difference. It's quite dangerous. I almost went into the Chicago, not ocean, but lake. It looks like an ocean.
Yeah.
Almost went in because I had roller skates on, the new kind with this thing in the back, and I'm
the rollerblades, you mean?
Yeah, and I'm coming towards the water, and I'm thinking, how am I
going to...
Yeah, the thing in the back that stops you. And I thought, okay, I think I'm going to go right down the water. And the whole thing I'm thinking of is these are heavy, so I am going to sink to the bottom until I can get them off. So
have the robotaxi service. It debuted yesterday, releasing roughly 10 driverless Model Y vehicles in part of Austin, Texas. CEO Elon Musk says the rides will cost a flat share of $4.20 and hopes to ramp up 1,000 vehicles within months.
$4 for how long of a distance?
I don't know.
That's pretty inexpensive.
Yeah.
But how comfortable are you getting in a car that has
no driver?
That doesn't have a person in it?
I don't know.
Now, you see it in the sci-fi movies all the time.
Yeah.
So everything you see in a sci-fi movie seems to actually happen.
So I wonder if you can, like how when you do Uber, you can put in ahead of time that you don't want to talk to your driver or you don't want conversation, you just want to drive, got work to do or whatever. I wonder if you just feel lonely and you need to talk to someone.
If it'll talk back like an Alexis or something?
Yeah, it'll talk back to you or give you marital advice or, any business advice.
Just think of the back seat. How they have, what was it, Taxi? Remember when the Taxi did interviews with people in the back seat and there was all kinds of crazy stuff? So you wonder how a back seat, when there really isn't a driver, might be going on from one stop to the next stop.
There's
probably, I'm sure, a pretty I'm sure there's cameras. I mean,
I'm
if someone's
sure.
not driving,
Yeah.
I'm sure you're going to be on film, which that just might excite people even more so if there's a camera. So who knows?
That's true. So the Thunder, the Oklahoma City Thunder, they clinched their NBA championship last night, defeating the Indiana Pacers 103-91 in Game 7 of the finals. This win marks a new era for the Thunder as the franchise lifts the Larry O'Brien Trophy for the first time since 1979, when they were the Seattle Supersonics.
I want to know who Larry O'Brien is.
Well, I'm sure. Don't ask me basketball questions because I don't really know.
Oh, you don't?
I have no idea.
About basketball.
No, I don't. I know
So why'd you
teams and
even
players,
tell
but
us
I
that?
don't know who.
It doesn't even excite
Larry
you.
O'Brien. Yeah, I guess he was like
Must have been a
the
really great.
Lombardi Trophy. Yeah, that was Vince
Well,
Lombardi,
Okay.
the coach for the
Pretty
Packers.
amazing.
Yeah, because
So I guess it's a famous basketball player. We'll need to get Google in here.
Well, if you're a basketball player, you might not be able to do this next thing that I'm getting ready to show you. So if you're listening online or on the radio, you can go to our YouTube channel at luinfo.com on YouTube and see the new
Actually,
Boxable.
you can just click luinfo.com. It takes you right to the
Takes
show.
you right there. But this is a
Looks so much bigger.
You can build this home in 4 hours. You can unpack your next house in any environment. It's called Boxable.
So if you're listening on the radio, it's literally like, you know, where they come up and pop in your driveway a thing to pack up your house. It looks just like that, but then all
Walls
of a
fold
sudden,
up.
yeah, everything kind of comes down and goes up and makes like a little tiny house.
Right.
But actually, it looks
They
fairly
use all new materials.
large. Yeah, it's probably going to be a wave of the future.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Actually, one thing you can do right now too is you can actually invest in this company. So they're looking
Really?
for people to do investments in this company, which is kind of cool as well.
Might need to check into that. Look at that. It's instant.
I know.
It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Boxable. It's just called Boxable.
Yeah.
I like that. All right. What else you got? Anything else I
Well,
need to know
John
about?
Jones, considered to be one of the greatest mixed martial arts of all time, retires at age 37. That's a
That's
good
pretty
age.
young.
Yeah, it's martial
I
arts.
guess
You're
when
getting beat
you're-
up a lot.
yeah,
You know, you
that's
want to
true.
retire soon. You don't want
Right.
to just keep getting beat up past your 40s. I mean, that's when everything starts to fall apart. You know, your eyes, your muscles. Kelly's walking
still
around with a
falling
limp.
apart.
So we need people to tell Kelly to go to the doctor. She's like, she's one of those that is the worst patient.
I don't
but
have
she will,
time.
she'll tell
When's time
me
to go
that
to the
I need to
doctor?
go. You need to go. If it was me, would you make me go?
Yeah.
See?
We
Okay.
probably shouldn't fight about it right
There you
now.
go.
But I don't have time. But anyway,
Well, since we're talking about doctors, let's talk stem cell treatment. Effectively cures severe type 1 diabetes. In a small clinical trial, 10 of the 12 patients no longer needed insulin a year after one single infusion of Zimilysl. No, wait, I said that
Yeah,
wrong.
good idea.
Why do they make everything so hard to
oh
say
no,
in
you probably should
medicine?
have prepared.
Zimilysl. say that 3 times with eating crackers.
Okay, so there's a shot now that's going to
It's an
stem
infusion.
cell,
It's an
okay.
infusion. And 10 of the 12 patients no longer needed the insulin after 1 year of one single infusion.
Wow, that would be really amazing. There's a lot of people that are unfortunately having to wear, you know, they've got like a box, you know, it's in their skin like a IV, and they have to keep those on, you know, to keep constant insulin going in
Right.
rather than doing the shots, which are so dangerous because you can get off with those. So that would be incredible to think of being able to do one infusion a year. The bad thing about that stuff, though, when it comes to stem cell, which is really annoying, just like we were talking about when the other ladies were in here talking about hormonal, they don't want to cover stem cell. They don't want to cover things that are preventative that keeps you from having to get the
No.
medicine going and out, which is really
They don't want
frustrating.
you to have
So-
anything that's going to cure you. They
so
want something that makes
probably
you
if
dependent on their
someone
medical.
could do that
Yeah,
stem cell, then the medical wouldn't take care of it, which is lousy.
I know.
Yeah. So, but our question of the day too, and to make sure that you know our question of the day, and what is a blast from the past that you wish would come back?
That
What
I
would your-
wish would come back.
You said streaking earlier. You want streaking to come back?
I got a great streaking story, but it wasn't me. It's actually a friend of mine, a couple friends of mine back
Where'd
in.
they streak?
Well, you know Pizza Hut, right?
Right.
The old Pizza Huts. The old, what
the
look like
red-
they got the hat on top
Right.
of them. Well, the old Pizza Huts, you would walk in the front door, you could walk across the counter, go to the bathrooms to the left, and then there would be an exit straight across from there, right?
Okay.
Well, I grew up in Belleville, and we always hung out at the Pizza Hut by Belleville East High School in Belleville. Well, we had some friends who thought they were going to streak, and they go, so what they wanted us to do was to make sure that the exit door was unlocked so they could just go through the front door, wave at everybody, and run out the exit door, right? Well, they didn't realize that we're not the best friends to trust to do that. So me and my buddy Dan Watterson, we knew the manager. She was a sweet lady. We knew the manager at Pizza Hut, and we told her what was about to happen. And we said, we're going to set these guys up. We want to keep that door locked, but can you lock the other door when they come in, the front door? And we told the whole crowd in Pizza Hut that these guys, these idiots were going to, we told them they were going to do this. So when they came in and they hit that door and realized that it was locked, that I wanted everybody to stand up and just applaud them. And so they come running in, they hit the door didn't open, the fear of panic went across their face. They looked, the audience all got up, started clapping, and they turned around to run out the front door, and the manager just smiled and locked the door with her key right in there, and they ran in the bathroom, and they proceeded to cuss us out for a good 20 minutes in the bathroom.
I bet they did. That's great.
So, yeah.
That's a good one. Well, today on today's show, so, maybe if you're having a problem in the bedroom, maybe your love life isn't what it should be. Maybe there's been cheating or things like that. So Angela Skirtu is a sex and couples therapist. She's coming in today with her new book and to talk about it. So if you are looking for some advice, building a better relationship, maybe having more fun in the bedroom, we can only take it to a certain limit because we are on radio, but she's going to come in and talk to us. Dr. Gena Otto, Otto.Orthodontix, let me get that right, who we talk about all the time. She's going to be coming into the show. We're going to be talking to her. And then Emily Stahl, we'll be doing a virtual interview with her. Emily Stahl Design Company. In fact, remember when I was in Vita and I bought that cute little hat that said STL?
Yeah.
That's who made it. So she makes lots of amazing things, vibrant colors. She really brings the STL into her items. So we'll be talking to her as well today. What's going on with speaking of sex?
Speaking of sex, this guy has no problem in the bedroom, and I'm talking about Pavel Durov. He was the owner of Telegram, a messaging app called Telegram. I know you didn't. Well, anyway, what he is doing is he is going to leave his fortune to over 100 children that he has fathered. So the founder of instant messaging app Telegram says the more than 100 children he has fathered will share his estimated $13.9 billion.
Didn't they make a movie on that? What's his face? Who's the tall guy who Wedding Crashers?
He's Wide Open.
Vince Vaughn. He played the guy who fathered all these children in a movie. They did a true
on this guy?
On that guy with all the children. And of course, you want to watch it like, who has 100 children? But you find out that he has all these children because he was a donor. And so,
right.
That's crazy. I remember seeing that. So we'll have to look up the movie. I don't know the name of it.
There's one little catch to this. They got to wait till they're 30 to get it, because he wants them, which I really like, he wants them to learn how to live life as normal people. You know what I mean?
They might live better if they get it earlier. They'll enjoy life more.
Yeah, but anyway, he's going to leave them the money after they turn 30. So yeah, he had actually fathered 6 children by 3 different partners, but the clinic where he went to said that 100 babies have been conceived through 12 countries.
100 babies. Now, I didn't think you were allowed, and I do know the movie talks about that or has that in there, but you're not supposed to know. You're not supposed to be able to go and meet and find.
Something tells me a guy that has $13.1 billion probably be able to find out anything he needs to find out.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably so.
Money speaks.
But that's
and
still.
I'm sure right now they're going to want to find out. They're going to be more than willing to give them their names.
And why? Like, if he has, a lot of times people do that because you make money doing that, right? Kind of like giving blood. Right. If you So with that much money, what would he need to go and donate? Or do you think that was a quest of his to see how many kids he could father?
I don't know.
I mean, because now obviously he's planned for this and wants to give his money to the kids.
So they're going to be pretty wealthy kids, that's for sure.
Gosh, I wish I was one of them. Maybe we need to do one of those, what is it, the spit test? Maybe, though we could be, because how old is he? He's pretty young, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, so that can't work out. Maybe I fathered him. No, that'd be mother. You got to get it right?
Right.
What you doing over there?
I'm getting things set up for you.
Wait a minute, don't you have, I wanted to show that girl coming out of the boat. Do you have that?
Yes, I do. Let me find it.
So, things that you shouldn't do. We love boating, and we see some crazy stuff out there on the water. But this is something you shouldn't do. I'm like addicted to this a channel of boats going through haul over. It's like an opening that goes into the ocean. And first of all, you should never have anybody on the bow or the front of your boat in choppy or bad weather. That's just stupid. And if you have kids, for God's sakes, you definitely want to put them in a life jacket. And you wouldn't believe how many kids are sitting up front that do not have a life jacket on and that are going through these big waves. So do you have it?
Yes.
So I'm sorry on radio if you can't see this. You're missing out, but here we go. There went the top. There. It's terrifying.
Yeah, there she goes.
She's going to show it again, isn't it? There she goes. I mean, she could have literally...
First the life jacket went by itself, which apparently she must have been just
she could have been, that boat could have just come down on top of her and taken her out. And then, of course, you can see her there in the water. And luckily, a wave runner, somebody on that happened to be nearby and came and picked her up. It's very dangerous.
She's trying to keep her cell phone out of the water.
She's holding her phone up in the air. I mean, when you fall out of a boat at that speed and you don't even... my phone would have been the last thing I would be thinking about. But this happens there all the time, and I can't imagine with little kids on the bow of the boat just flying up in the air, and somebody had the two dogs.
She gave him her cell phone first.
So
she's drowning, but here's my cell phone. It would have been great if you would have just taken it.
That's the kind of idiots that should not be driving a boat. So anyway, love sharing that, and you can have some fun watching haul over. I guess just, I don't know, there isn't anything else to it, but it's where the boats go in and out all the time.
Right, it's like a little passageway.
It's called H-A-U-L, haul over. So anyway, we're going to get started with our first guest here. I want to make sure that you know the Lou Information Station is live on demand at louinfo.com 24/7. We'd love you to go on, subscribe to the page, see all the other great shows that are playing throughout the day. And then, of course, we're the In Your City Show. You can follow us on our YouTube page. You can follow us at Instagram and Facebook. And of course, if you have a great idea or you know someone that would be a perfect guest for our show, please message us and let us know about it. We would love to have them on the show. All right, so we're going to take a short break. And then we're going to come back and we're going to meet Angela Skirtu. She is, as I had mentioned, a licensed sex and couples therapist. So we look forward to having you back here with us. We'll be here till 6 o'clock. you do, you know? You don't. I mean, who sits around and thinks about, you know, a sex and couples therapy? You know, you don't. People don't have the nerve to talk about it.
Re-say that again. Re-say that again, the very beginning again. Because I got it fixed. Yeah. Re-say it again. You weren't on.
Yeah, I'm not on.
Yeah, she doesn't have a mic either. We're way ahead of it. We're way on top of it today.
It's all right. So what do I need to do here?
All right. So where are we, Kelly, and who do we have on today?
Okay. Wow, radio and virtual TV at its awesomeness. So Angela Skirtu is with us today. She is a couples and sex therapist. You also, what you don't hear people just coming out and talking about things. People feel very, for most part, I mean, don't have the nerve to talk about what goes on behind closed doors, wherever that door might be. I guess there could be all kind of doors, can it, behind it? And you've written books, and your last one, which you brought a copy for us there, we'll have to give you a testimonial. It's from, can't say it, to...
It's from F no to F yes sex.
You can say F.
We can say F. Nobody knows what that... I mean, they know what it is.
They know what it is, yeah. So
got the mics working just in time.
Just in time. Okay. So what I want to know, you describe yourself as someone who opens bedroom doors, okay? Mm-hmm. What led you to this powerful metaphor as an approach to therapy?
To the metaphor. Well, this is a funny story. So I was actually in a business networking meeting, and they were trying to get us to come up with, like, how do you describe what you do in 5 words or less? You know, that's how you kind of like market yourself. So I was at a business table, and there were a bunch of people. They knew I was a sex therapist, and so someone was like, you know, I know what you do. You like open people's bedroom doors. You should see how that lands. So I was like, oh, well, okay, I guess I do kind of open bedroom. It's true. Like, that's my job, is to open doors and get people talking about sex comfortably. So I'm in this business meeting, and they're like, hey, does anybody have a good tagline they came up with? And of course I'm like, yeah right now. It's like, I open bedroom doors. And nobody knew what I was.
Elevator speech, right?
Yeah, but nobody knew what I was at the time other than the table, right? And so like, oh, everybody laughed, like giggled. That's a funny one. They're like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a sex therapist. Then the whole
room went silent?
Roared. No, they were like, and I got a picture. It was like, I was like, oh, that's a winner. Okay.
That's a winner. You win. You won on being the earliest guest.
I went on being the earliest, and I went on a good tagline. But really, that's what I do, is I open bedroom doors. I talk, like, sex touches every person. Like, literally, it's a universal topic.
No pun intended, but it does touch.
Well, it touches every aspect of your life. You know, it's funny. People think of sex, they're like, oh, it's this hidden thing. But no, it touches your business. Like, if you're having a good sex life, it impacts how productive you are in your day-to-day life. If you're having a good sex life, it impacts your happiness in your relationship. It impacts all kinds of functions. So, like, really, what I'm trying to do with sex is get it out of the corner, like, oh, it's so scary and taboo, and really bring it into the mainstream and help people realize how impactful it is in your day-to-day life, and that it's a normal, natural part of life.
And maybe the younger generation may be more open or more able to talk. The older generation, we were raised with parents that I mean, first of all, we never thought our parents even did it.
We were raised with television shows where they showed separate beds.
Yeah, Mary Tyler Moore, and that, there was,
so it's like, yeah,
so it was a very different culture. So I'm sure it's getting better.
Ricky
with
and
the
Lucy didn't do it.
Well, to be fair,
they had a baby. It's so weird.
On my show, so I have an Open Bedroom Doors show on my YouTube channel. So for those listening, it's youtube.com/@openbedroomdoors.
They're looking right now.
I know, they're clicking, let's go.
Are they in the bed?
But, like, actually my highest watcher rate is people 65 plus. And more often males than females.
But watching it is one thing. Because watching, you can watch from a personal, quiet place. Private, and go, wow, I've been missing out. Whereas to talk about it, I don't know how well it is for people publicly that are older age, that feel comfortable.
I'm in a lot of business circles, and people, once they know it's safe, they all want to talk to me.
Once they know it's safe.
Like at first they're like, oh, like they gossip. They're like, oh my God, there's a sex therapist here. What does this mean? And there's a little nervousness around it. But like once I put it out there, it's like, no, this is it's a natural part of life. Of course, my tagline makes everybody laugh. Then people come up to me and talk to me all the time. And they'll be like, hey, is this cool? I'm like, yeah, just talk to me. It's fine. I want to make it a normal, natural conversation.
Okay, so you're in that work group, like you just said?
Yeah.
What's something that they ask you then? What do you feel them safe to ask?
What is the most common one, too?
It depends on if it's a male or a female. Males,
Okay.
the first thing they ask me is, how do I get my wife to come see you?
Oh, wow.
Well, because they're so like because it's a scary topic for everyone, it's also a scary topic for husbands and wives to talk to each other about. And they all want to talk about it, but they've never been taught how. So I just did this couples retreat, and one of the things I talked about was how when we were young in school, they split the boys and the girls up to teach us about puberty, but we never brought each other back. There was never a time where we brought the boys and the girls back together. And now you've all become adults who don't know how to talk to each other about the thing that's so important to you. And it's like, it changes lives. It ruins marriages. It impacts so many things. So for us to have no way to talk about this in a healthy, natural way it's just destroying relationships. And like, just so you kind of have an awareness, like that's my calling, is like, all of these problems could have been prevented. Like I literally repeat the same problems over and over in my office, and I'm sick to death of replaying the same problems. So part of my show, part of my Open Bedroom Doors book series, everything that I'm doing is to change the sexual landscape, to get people comfortable talking about this, learning how to be vulnerable and advocate for themselves. Because once you get comfortable talking about sex and like develop confidence in that, that confidence transfers into all walks of life, because it's the most vulnerable taboo topic. Think about it.
Yeah.
If you're empowered there, it goes everywhere.
That's interesting, because I was going to ask you, the sexual desires are different. Everybody has different sexual desires. They're varied, just like personalities. So how do you customize your therapy, though, to fit those differences?
Well, everybody has different desires. That's like, it's literally every couple that sits on my couch. So,
but you kind of hit on it, that some of them are the same that you see over and over and over again.
Yeah, so a desire discrepancy doesn't have to be the end of a marriage. You just have to learn how to work with each other. So women typically want to work on emotional intimacy, and men typically want to work on sex, and you need to work on both. It's not one over the other. So women think, I need to feel emotionally close to get sexually close. And they're half right and half wrong. Men feel like they need to get sexually close to be emotionally close, and they're half right and half wrong. And really, you both need to do both.
To make it work.
Yeah.
Right.
And men have to learn to become emotionally connected to women, and women need to take back their sexual prowess.
So infidelity is kind of a heavy topic, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure
that's another one of my books.
and it plays a lot into what, probably why they're coming to see you. But what common misconceptions do people bring into therapy, and how do you guide them toward healing?
Like therapy specific to infidelity?
Yeah.
Well, so everybody thinks that once somebody cheats, I'm just going to leave them, and you never do. None of you leave each other. You always work on it.
Oh, yes, you do.
I mean, I'm not
No, she's not looking at me.
No, I'm not looking at him.
I'm not
She's trying to look right at me, and I'm like,
my has-been, which would be my ex-husband,
Sure,
he quit. He didn't quit dating once we got married. It was so weird.
You didn't quit what?
He didn't quit dating.
Oh,
I should say it's rarer,
Yeah.
right? So it has to be a pretty, like if it's a one-time cheating situation, so if he was a chronic cheater, yeah, of course leave that person, because it's not going to change, right? But a lot of times when it's a one-time cheating situation, then most people stay. And I would say it's a pretty high number of couples that do try and stay and figure it out. If you think about it, part of what's keeping people together is you have your whole lives entwined, you have your finances entwined, you've raised kids. So it's very hard actually to break up the marriage. So even with infidelity, while people will say, oh, if this ever happens, I'm going to leave, it's more rare for people to leave. And when they do leave for the other person, they tend to have trust issues in the new relationship.
Sure. Well, and even staying, how do you give therapy to someone that goes through that to allow them to even, because the first thing, like I had a friend of mine and it happened, and she couldn't get over the fact of what they did or what she doesn't know, and then she'd want the details. It's like, do you really want the details? I mean, I don't even know how you work through that where you can be normal together again.
Well, so
And I guess it depends on how emotionally you take it, because if it's something that's really sacred to you, that would be really hard to get over and forgive that.
Yeah. So my second book is all about that. It's
Okay.
helping couples overcome
And what
infidelity.
book is that for anybody that may want?
Helping couples overcome infidelity.
Okay.
It's on Amazon. And actually I cover 8 milestones that people need to work through to rebuild after an affair. And so one of the milestones is acknowledging the pain that was caused. And that's a whole process of like accepting that like sometimes they don't even agree on what an affair is, like if it's an emotional affair, if there was kind of flirting. So sometimes I have to just get people on the same page and acknowledging, like, you know, regardless of how you want to title this or identify it, your actions were outside the scope of the relationship, and so it broke trust.
Yeah.
And so I work with helping people and like acknowledge the pain caused. I help with what you talk about, those questions, clarity. So there's a whole chapter I write about clarity and how people can get to clarity without creating extra trauma. So there's this old school way that people used to do infidelity where they're like, let's just share everything all at once, and it's like ripping the Band-Aid and we'll never talk about it again, which is like incredibly poor and not trauma informed. Right. And so I do allow people to talk, but I even like guide them in the research around, this is the kind of information that you would want to know, and this is the information that you got to pick and choose. But a big thing I do in that piece is I try to take the power out of the like cheater's hands, so to speak, and put it back into the hands of the person who was cheated on, and let them decide for themselves what kind of information they need to heal. But then, of course, with the guidance of like, these things tend to be better to know, and these things tend to be better not to know, because once it's in your head, you can't like unknow it. It's there forever.
It's kind of like in a courtroom. They said, please disregard that last statement. Not going to happen.
It was like nobody disregarded it.
Not happening.
It left a mark.
It's going to be there for a long time.
So we're talking about infidelity. We're talking about problems within the marriage.
Let's talk about good stuff.
But let's talk about premarital counseling. It's like, do you do a lot of premarital counseling for people before they get married?
I mean, that's my favorite work is premarital counseling, because we, like I was saying earlier with the sex stuff, like you can prevent a lot of these problems by working on things ahead of time, right? So in my premarital counseling book, that's my third book, the first original book I wrote, I talk about just basic skills that you need, like communication, to be direct with each other about sex, and to keep putting effort into your romantic sex life, how to like, what are the needs in a relationship that we need to be addressing to really improve a relationship and keep it strong. And so, yeah, I love premarital counseling. I mean, the sad thing is people don't typically come in until like really bad problems happen.
Yeah.
Like, let's break the relationship and then work on it, right?
Before marriage and 6 months into it, it's like, we don't have any sex problems.
It's nothing like the honeymoon.
You're having a great time. You're not having any. Well, and that's the point, though, is like you can actually do some really decent work in the premarital space. But yeah, people are like, well, there's no problem, so why should I come in? And I guess I would like to tell you is because there's skills that you don't know, and you kind of won't know if you don't come in and do the work on those things.
But sometimes maybe couples may not know too, because I can't get into detail, but there are some people that I've known in my life that have not experienced, I guess, satisfaction or whatever, and they don't.
You mean sexual satisfaction?
Yeah, someone who just turned the radio on and went, "Whoa, what did I just turn on?"
There are couples who've never had good sex the entire time,
and they may not know it because they never. Maybe they just thought that's the way they're programmed. But I would think also that if you're able to communicate very openly in your relationship, sexually, I would think your communication would be very well in every other way, because that's probably the hardest thing to communicate, isn't it?
I would say it's one of the hardest things. There's a couple of hot spots, right? So like
money.
Couples, money, sex, chores, like death, like end of life stuff. There's a few taboo topics that people struggle with. And so my job is to talk about taboo topics with couples and help them address them more directly. And to your point about the sex, so this book, the F from F no to F yes sex, is about changing internal messaging around sex. So a lot of us have been taught like sex is bad or it's taboo, or you've been taught nothing at all. And so there's all these shames and negative messages we pick up in childhood that this book is really trying to help people change. So it's actually more of a focus on the individual and your relationship with sex. Because once you learn to have a more neutral or positive relationship towards sex, then you can actually talk more directly with your partner about the kinds of things that you would want. And to your point earlier, once you have a better relationship with sex, then you might actually be able to have good sex.
Yeah. Do you have all ages? So even younger, middle-aged, older couples?
Yeah, so the most typical couples who, like the most typical story is a couple that right after their second baby, they come see me because you start to lose your desire after first baby. But then they start having sex again for second baby. So there's a little bit of a rev. And then after second baby, the desire just tanks entirely.
You're exhausted.
Yeah, exactly. And you're overwhelmed and they're reorienting, right? So it's about a year or two after second baby is the most common. And then the second most common couple that sees me is when their kids are starting to get more independent and they need them less. And they have more time with each other. And guess what? One of you wants to have sex and maybe the other is like, let's find something else to get distracted by. And so that's the second time as kids get more independent. And then the third most common is after the children launch and they are in that empty nester phase.
You can also completely horrify and traumatize your child if they catch you. If you don't lock the door.
We've got some friends that actually happened to.
Yeah, the
and he was traumatized.
Made him throw up. Total mess from it. So that's also like talking to your kids, I guess. I mean, because no kid thinks their parent does it. I mean, that's just awful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's something else that people talk to me about. So I have a whole sex education. So I have my YouTube channel, I have my show, but I actually just started the Spanish sex ed channel to teach that, like how do you talk to your kids about sex, and it's been both English and Spanish because that's another area where people like there's not a lot of sexual health information in the Spanish speaking community.
Oh, really?
And so, yeah, I just dabble a little in all the things sexual.
Oh my God. Everybody invites Angela to their dinner party. Yes, so much interesting stuff to talk about.
Well, they invited me to do a couples retreat at this, it was a Spanish speaking couples retreat.
That sounds like there's a movie, Couples Retreat.
There is.
Yoga Man.
But mine's way better than that.
Oh my God. Do they do yoga there, like the couples retreat?
Absolutely. Well, and so the last day, that's what they asked me to do is talk about how do you talk to your kids about sex. And the whole topic was like, okay, how do you just approach this, normalize this, make it a comfortable conversation? Because again, essentially my work involves like I'm teaching 40-year-old women the same things I'm teaching my 10-year-old daughter. Basically, we got no sex education other than don't do it or you'll get pregnant, right? Like that doesn't teach you. I mean, yes, you still can get pregnant.
Same things I hate about you here. Wear the pregnant vest for 2 months or whatever. I don't know.
I mean, think of how that there's so much trauma around that too. So like when you finally are pregnant, you've still been terrified about getting pregnant. So I have couples that are working through that. Like, how do we actually have sex now that we're not on birth control or condoms because we've been told don't have sex or you'll get pregnant. And even though logically they want to get pregnant, like if it's been put in a shame space in your life, like once it's in shame, you don't just like flip a switch.
Come back from it.
It's like wet paint. You got to touch it. Right. It's like
I'm telling you, there's a lot of trauma that's been created by us not educating people in a comprehensive way around sex. And so I am trying to change that.
You know, a big thing too that's really difficult is the younger kids, because of the stuff that is on TV and the things that they get their hands on, which probably a lot of kids get their hands on porn and things like that.
Yeah.
So they learn from a young age that they think that's what it is, and so that's difficult too, because kids can be traumatized or learn behavior that is not something that is, I don't know.
Well, that's all the more reason for you to talk to your kids, right? Because if you don't create that conversation, and by the way, it's an ongoing conversation. It's not one talk. It's several talks that you have to have over time as they get older and as they age. But if you're the one taking that on as the parent, then like when porn shows up and they find it, maybe they're talking to you about like, hey, Mom, I saw this video. Then you could actually say, that's not real. Just so you know, I know that's out there, but you could actually be guiding them in more logical approaches around that. Right. Or you could be like, I want you to learn about sex, but maybe in a more healthy way. Let's go to a museum and see some different, like there's nudes, in museums. Let's look at like different body forms so you can even see body differently. Because like porn, so I'm not against porn, I'm not pro porn. I just wish it wasn't the sex education tool that most people are learning from.
Exactly.
Because like it changes.
Or National Geographic when I was growing up.
That's the
first time I saw a naked lady.
I would be happy for you to see it on National Geographic because at least it's more natural, right?
Yeah,
like this is what real bodies look like.
or trying to see when my dad got the satellite dish and just hoping you could just see a glimpse of something.
Back in my day, we just had porn
straight.
Magazines in a tire in the woods.
A tire in the woods?
Of course, that's what you did. You found your dad's porn mag and you threw it in a tire in the woods.
Oh my gosh.
So you could go back and look.
Figure it
All
out.
right, I'm almost afraid to ask you this question. So
Please do.
Well, yeah. Remember, we're on radio. The
I won't cuss.
Okay. As a keynote speaker, you've addressed a lot of audiences, right?
Yeah.
But what's the most surprising reaction or question you've received on stage?
Oh my goodness. I mean, recently at that couples retreat, I had people asking very specific, like, what about, so can I say the A word? This word on the radio, the derriere,
the buns.
Okay, because I'm like, I'm not even sure where this filter is. So they were asking about derriere sex.
Really?
They were asking
in front
about
of everybody?
So hold on. I actually do this thing
and
where
they did this in front of a crowd?
They did in front of a crowd, but I do give people a bit of privacy in their questions. So people write index card questions and they privately give them to me.
So you weren't actually standing next to them like Oprah does and
So
go,
Bob didn't get up and go, so I got a question.
So, no. So like, because people are a little nervous talking about sex, I always have people write their questions on index cards and I get them at the end, but then I do answer them out loud. So like that level of privacy I was like, oh, wow. And this was, by the way, this was a Christian group. So I just want to throw that out there, too. It was a Christian Spanish-speaking group.
Well, they do it, too.
And, because I want you to understand, it doesn't matter what your religion is. I love all your values. I love every person. I care deeply about what people believe, and I work with whoever the crowd is. But it was funny that I was like, oh, wow, these people got some kinky questions. Good for you.
But I think it helps that the anonymity of not standing up. I bet you wouldn't get a lot of questions if they had to stand up and ask that question.
100% changes the ball game, and it gets them the answers they really need. So that is why I offer that anonymity. Or like when I'm working with a younger group, sometimes I'll let them text in their questions. So, because, young people don't write.
Right.
They text.
And so you're really diving into the couples.
Yeah.
Or maybe even, does it have to be a couple? Maybe it's somebody who's has a fear or problem of it in general, maybe, that would want to sit down to understand it more, right?
Yeah, like for example, most of my women come in for desire discrepancy of their own. Like they'll blame because they don't have any desire or they're struggling with their sexual interest. Sure. And so I might work with a woman by herself for several sessions before we bring her partner in, just helping her reconnect with sex and sexuality. And for males, same thing. Like if they're having erectile dysfunction or they're having some sort of sexual issue, but they're not ready to talk to their partner. Because again, they're like, how do I talk to my partner? That's the first question that everybody asks. Like, how do I bring my partner in on this?
Right.
So quite a few people have to start individually talking to me about different sexual things, and then we work on that. But then I do try to rope in the partner, because again, sex, usually it's a problem with another person that you're struggling with. But I also do get thruples and fourples. I don't know if that's
thruples,
what you
is
call
that
them.
3?
Yeah, couples, like, because I work with all the relationship styles, every religion, every value system. So I get swingers, I get people who are polyamorous. So I have had a thruple. I've had some foursome groups come in to work through.
I gotta close my mouth.
I know, your mouth is
down. Like
across the spectrum, that's my work.
So, okay.
Like, well, now let's get to it.
Well, I know it's out there and that. It's just, I would think that, are they in there because they're having a hard time for being in that situation, that the relationship is suffering from it, or they're in to try to get the 3 of them to work better?
Well, actually, it could be very different. Like, so sometimes it's communication stuff that's not necessarily related to their sex, but they just want to be with somebody who's going to respect their relationship dynamic. So, no, I have had thruples who are not there for anything sex related.
You need to do a coffee table.
They're just here for like conflict or struggling to understand each other, right? So I've had that. I had a swinger couple. My favorite couple in the world was this older couple that was in their 60s, and they were swingers. They weren't there for their swinging. They were there because she had lost desire, and she was trying to, like, she also had pain during intercourse, and so she was needing to work through some of her postmenopausal stuff.
Sometimes it's just hormones that need to get fixed.
Yeah, but they just wanted to be with a therapist that wasn't going to judge them for their lifestyle. So sometimes people are there for lifestyle issues, and other times they're just there because they know that I'll respect whatever lifestyle they're choosing.
Gosh, you have to be really open extremely open-minded and non-judgmental, because you're all over the spectrum with people, the way they live their life. I mean, what you're getting as questions or problems is so from one end to the other end.
Oh yeah, one day can cover a lot.
One day
but
can cover
I
a
will
lot.
say, I just genuinely love people, right? Like,
you can tell that.
So I am a supervisor for sex therapists, and I was talking to them, and they expand across the spectrum too. And I basically told them the other day, like, you just have to work on loving various types of people and loving their problems and learning how to really deeply understand people for who they are and what matters to them. So one of the things that actually I've worked very hard to like create openness to the Christian community, because the Christians have at times been like, what are the sex therapists and what are they trying to do, you know? But like, I'm really here to like join your value system, respect your value system. I spend a lot of time actually getting to know people and what they believe and why they believe what they believe, so that I can help work within their system. And then it's, okay, with your goals, here are the things that will help you, and then here are the ways that I can tailor that treatment plan to meet your values within that as well. And so to me, it's actually super exciting that like some of the more conservative groups have been more welcoming to me, but I think it comes from a sense of, I just genuinely value people and variance. Like, I don't want everybody to look the same. Like, it's a rainbow, right? Here's my rainbow shoes. I want to see the whole spectrum.
So people that work on cars, their cars don't run.
Yeah.
People who clean houses, their house is probably a mess. They don't have time. So you're a sex therapist. Now, are you married in a relationship?
Yeah,
Do you have a family?
I do, yes.
Okay, so first question is, so do you use this in your own home with your own, are you with it when it comes to your own relationship then? You're working on everyone else's.
Oh, of course, but it's a different, I would say I'm not a sex therapist in my relationship at home. I'm a mom, and I'm a wife and a partner.
You don't bring work home.
You
so
really
much
have
fun
to
to
have
talk
a,
about it.
We do talk about sex, like we watch different shows, and like it's more in a fun space, but it's very important to not do therapy at home. And actually that's a boundary for me. So like, I know I'm in a good space with either friends or partners if I'm not wearing my sex therapist hat. Like, if I'm wearing that hat, then I know that like something's up, and like my anxiety's up enough that I feel like I have to solve things or fix things. So my best friends and family and loved ones allow me to put my guard down and just be Angela.
Just be you.
So have you ever had a married couple come to you and say, not because of problems, but because they do it too much?
Because they have sex too much?
Like,
yeah.
Do we have a problem?
I will say it's not usually too much frequency, but it's when, like, so there's high desire people, and sometimes, not always, so there's high desire people who can really respect boundaries, but there are some high desire people who are almost boundaryless. And so I would say yes, but they tend to be disrespecting of what boundaries they keep trying to create in the relationship. So it would be a boundary pusher who is also high desire. But there are plenty of high desire people who aren't that way. It's a particular personality type that is that way.
They should get the Mary Tyler Moore beds.
Yeah.
Dick Van Dyke or whatever it was with the two twin beds in the room. Hi, just wave across the room.
I think in some cases these types should be confirmed bachelors or bachelorettes, but they're in relationships and trying to like do things that are counter to who they probably are as people.
Yeah.
But that's another story.
Sure. So you have a daughter. She's how old?
She's 10.
Okay.
She's going through puberty, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah, and they do so young now as well.
They do.
So do you have already having conversations with her? Does she know what mom does and understands it?
Actually, we're going to write a book together. So yes, right? So I started by reading the sex ed books that are her age range, but this summer we are going to sit down, because she's asking really great 10-year-old questions, and I have not found a really good sex ed book that uses kid language. Like, when you're going through it, what does it sound like? What are the questions they're asking? And my daughter is asking me the most profound 10-year-old questions. So I'm going to write them down.
Lucky, or she's lucky with that. You're lucky, that you have the openness, because it's changing all the time. Back when we were young, the girls that were already out there, having a good time, you were like, whoa, and you didn't really understand it. I mean, I used to think the birth control pill, if you just took one, you wouldn't get pregnant. There's so many things that my mom, didn't talk to me, and most moms didn't, and my mom was pretty cool, actually, but that's just a subject that people do not want to talk about. But the kids are getting younger and younger, and they're learning so much from television because of the way, gosh, Netflix, things that aren't parental guidance or
YouTube.
Oh my gosh.
YouTube, Twitter, like you could find porn on Twitter.
Exactly. So with that, with all that, it's hard to keep that away from them and wanting to know more. And then they're doing it younger and younger. So, they're
you can almost find it on Facebook.
Yeah, and
because there's certain ads that are popping up.
And the school's hands are tied, so they really can't talk to your kid. They can't.
Sure.
Like their school's hands are tied. So like I have a lot of parents who are terrified about this topic, and they're like, "How do I talk to my kids?"
Yeah.
So with me and my daughter, we want to write a book that focuses on bodies, boundaries, and puberty. Not puberty. 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 And that'll be the first. It'll be another book in the Open Bedroom Doors book series. But I really want to, like, as she gets older, cover the topic and, like, as she ages. Because, again, it's like right now she's 10. So what does a 10-year-old say? Which, by the way, one of her questions is, what's this white stuff?
Oh, no.
And I just want you, these are the questions a 10-year-old wants to know.
Wow.
And I think it's important. I think it's important for you to hear a 10-year-old asking stuff like that, right? Like, that's what they care about. They don't care about what we care about.
I don't even know what to do right now.
Like, I don't know how to answer that.
I feel like I should get up and just leave the room.
Kelly, it's okay. That's why I'm going to answer it in the book.
Oh my gosh.
It's okay.
I'm going to need an aspirin.
You're like, oh no. I don't know. But that's the point though.
Water in here and I need a
when
drink.
these parents are trying to talk to their kids, they're having the same response. They're like, oh my gosh, like, and I really want to take sex out of the fight or flight response. It should be in your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your normal nervous system, the calm, pause, and plan. But when we have not talked about sex in a regular, normal way, then that's what happens. It feels like sex is a bomb in the room.
You are so right. I'm not sure what to do. I don't know I can do the next guess.
Do we need to slow down your nervous system? Like, let's take some deep breaths.
It's like we're just not,
it's okay.
just not
Sex
the three
is
of
a
us
normal
right
part
now.
of life.
My mom's listening from heaven right now, just laughing.
Your mom's like, I should have told her more.
I should have talked to her more.
I should have talked to her about the white stuff.
I still want to know what it is.
Well, if you need to learn.
All right.
Wow. All right. Oh gosh, it's 4:59. We gotta let you go, Angela.
Gosh, that's
Angela
all right.
licensed marriage family therapist. You need to invite her to your next dinner party so you can have some fun and talk about everything. Next, Dr. Gena Otto. We're gonna take it to a whole nother level. We're gonna talk teeth and smiles, which might get you some. I don't know, but we're gonna go a whole nother level here. Thank you for tuning in to In Your City Show live on demand at luinfo.com, and of course we're on the new KLIS on 590 AM if you're on the radio dial right now. We'll be right back with more fun. All right, we are back at the In Your City Show, live on demand at luinfo.com and, of course, on the radio station 590 AM. But you're much better off going directly to luinfo.com because then you can see everything going on and see our beautiful guests. And we have a beautiful one that's coming up right now. But I want to tell you about St. Louis Closet Company. Jennifer Williams, incredible, empowering, just... she's fabulous. I mean, she really is. She's just such a great person inside and out. And when you sit down with her, she is going to take you through the whole process right there in St. Louis Closet Company. Their manufacturing, everything is right there inside that location. Everything's done locally. And that's the wonderful thing. She's not a franchise. She is not a one-size-fit-all. She is somebody that will take you from beginning to end. You don't have to get some cookie cutter build out. She's going to do what you want to do, whether it's your mudroom, it's your basement, it's your garage, whatever it might be. And she said, you start small. You don't have to feel like you have to do the whole house. Just start small and start putting those areas together. What does she say? Go from chaos to calm. Because when you're like a mess and things are everywhere, it kind of overwhelms you and gets you all worked up on the inside. So definitely check out Jennifer Williams. One of the things that they're known for is their floor-based systems that add strength and stability that give you that seamless look. The other thing about Jennifer, she is so philanthropical. In her business, what they do, Closets for a Cause, right?
Yes.
And so they raise money for St. Louis, which is incredible. Support small, support local, get organized the St. Louis way. And as she says, go from chaos to calm. And that's with the St. Louis Closet Company. So thank you, Jennifer, for being part of the show. We really appreciate it. And now we're going to go to our next guest, taking a whole different route than the last guest.
Yes.
I mean, the last guest will make you smile, but she gives you gorgeous smiles.
She gives you.
And we're here with Gena Otto. Thank you so much for coming in, and thank you for being part of the show. We really appreciate that.
Thanks for having me.
We love you, part of the magazine. So we always forget to mention that we have the Clayton, Chesterfield, and St. Charles City Lifestyle magazines, and your incredible Otto.Orthodontix is inside the magazine. So we appreciate it. And coming to your home and meeting your family and really getting to know you more has been lovely. So, here you are. Let's just go right to it. What inspired you to have Otto.Orthodontix?
Yeah.
To be in teeth.
Yeah, so, I was in college, my roommate was actually pre-dental. So going in, I was always pre-med. I was always good at science and math. So initially, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but surprisingly, she was already pre-dental. And so I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll do that. And so I was working in the hospital. I didn't love the hospital setting. And then I started to shadow some dentists. And I was like, I can do this. And there was a lot of female dentists. And when I was at Mizzou in Columbia, there were several female dentists that I actually shadowed. So that was cool. And talking to them, it was like, oh my gosh, the lifestyle is so great. You're not on call. You pretty much can have 9 to 5.
Tough, isn't it?
You can be your own business owner. So my dad was his own business owner. So I feel like that was always an important thing to me that I always wanted to do, was to own my own business. So dentistry seemed like I could have a family, be a mom, not be at work all the time.
Right.
Which my kids would probably say I am still, but but yeah, all those things. And then just getting into dental school. The funny thing is, I shadowed a little bit, but you really don't understand what the career is going to be like until you get in there and start doing it.
Sure.
And I liked dentistry, but there wasn't this passion that I had that I found when I started to study orthodontics within the dental school. So you got a little bit of orthodontic training when you're in dental school, just a small amount. Mm-hmm. And from that I said, well, okay, this is definitely the route I want to go, because it was very artistic. It was very more big picture.
And that's what I was just going to ask you. I know there's a difference, but what was that difference that made you want to go from dentistry to the orthodontics? And you're answering that right now.
Yeah, I love the patient pool I work with. I get to talk to a lot of moms. I'm working on a lot of kids. But now, my one of my offices, I'm almost like 50% adult as well. And they're people that are, honestly, my oldest patient is 85, my youngest patient is probably 4. So there's a range. Gosh. But we're not causing any discomfort really. People are excited about, getting their smile changed. You get to know them over this, 2-year process in some cases. And then you can see them from beginning to end with this just evolution of their self-confidence and their smile. So, all of that stuff was a part of why I loved that profession.
Absolutely.
So, who is the oldest patient that you've had to come in?
Yeah, I think it's a male. He was a physician, retired, of course, and I want to say he's at least 86, 87.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did he come in to have his teeth redone, to get his smile back?
Yeah. So for and we have, I have another female that's around the same age, and and she was more just aesthetic. She said, I want my teeth straightened. I've always not liked my teeth, and I said, absolutely, it's never too old to straighten your teeth, especially when we have things like Invisalign that are not super noticeable. She's she's not 86 and has braces on, which I think would have been a deterrent for her to get started. But then for him, he actually was having trauma. So when he bit down, his top teeth was hitting into his lower tooth. So every time he would bite, he was going to lose that lower tooth if we didn't correct its position.
Sure.
So they were two very different cases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talking about Invisalign, what all does that do, having that? It's not like braces, talk a little bit about that.
So I love Invisalign. So we actually are, a small little plug, the top Invisalign provider in Missouri. So
we talk about it every day.
Yeah, exactly.
So good.
But we do the most. And I absolutely love it. My 11-year-old daughter has it on right now. And
Can't tell.
I know, yeah, you can't see it. But it's for all ages, honestly. So I have my youngest patient probably is 7 that I've done Invisalign on. And that patient had a little bit of a sensory issue, so we were a little concerned about having the braces and maybe picking at them or them really bothering her. So we went the Invisalign route, and it ended up working really well for her. And there's certain cases that going into the physics of teeth where Invisalign works better. But honestly, I can pretty much treat almost any case with Invisalign now.
Really?
And it's a myth that patients come in all the time. They say, well, I don't want to do Invisalign because I heard it doesn't work, or I heard it takes longer. And I'm like, yeah, that's just not true. So I think there's a lot of misinformation of maybe what, was thought 10 years ago, but Invisalign has come so far with the material that they use, these attachments that we use on the teeth, and I can treat almost any case with Invisalign. So some cases that might come in that are very difficult, where another orthodontist might say, oh my gosh, absolutely not, you have to do braces. I will offer those patients a hybrid, and I'll say, look, yes, for this movement of this tooth, give me 4 to 6 months in braces. Maybe that's like a top tooth. So we'll start bottom Invisalign, we'll start top braces for just a few months, and then I can get this one movement that Invisalign might struggle with braces done, and then we'll take the braces off and continue on with Invisalign. So we get the majority of the work done with Invisalign.
Sure. So you have how many locations, which is it 5, right?
5, yeah.
And are you still growing?
Yeah, I think my husband just said this the other day. He's like, I think we've got one more in us.
Which is great. You and your husband work together.
Yes.
He's kind of the more of the I would say corporate side of your business, right?
Yeah,
He's not in there with the patients.
Right.
He's the business side of it.
Correct.
Which you're owned. You're not owned by another. This is Otto.Orthodontix is your company. You're not one of the dentists out there that are.
So we actually have partnered with a bigger organization,
Okay.
even though we still maintain a majority of the office. So, but yes, it's still ours. But we had someone come in who partnered with us, there's several orthodontists that partner with them.
Okay.
And it's just, we collaborate, so we get
Sure.
support from these other orthodontists, so you're not reinventing the wheel all the time.
Right.
We get good pricing, we get great benefits for our staff, so they don't control any of the orthodontic side of things or how we run our business, because again, we still own the majority, but there's tons of help with what our partner provides for us too.
And how great is that for you guys to get to work together like that?
Yeah, it's awesome. So yeah, he does so much. He's in charge of HR, payroll, all of the behind the scenes. There's
you get to deal with the patients.
Yes,
then.
Exactly. And I can do what I enjoy to do, which
Sure.
is to be the doctor. Yeah,
Right.
I could not do it without his help for sure.
That's great. So, your darling little girls are sitting here with us, and that we always talk about the candy. Do you have that in all the locations?
We do.
The candy
You
wall.
mean
Yeah.
this?
Yes.
That's Scarlett right there, actually.
Yes.
That's one of my daughters.
The greatest thing ever. I guess their friends want to come to the office with you so they can fill up a candy bag.
All the kids that come in, their eyes just light up. And a lot of the parents are like, why in the world does a dentist have all this candy? Yeah. And we explain, there's a lot of things that you can't have when you have braces on. And the majority of our kids have braces. But again, now that I was explaining that, a lot of them are going the Invisalign route. But there's a lot of candy you can't have. So this is a very nice surprise at the end. take the braces off, you get this huge container of candy. You know, obviously you're not going to
See you in 6 months.
Exactly. Yeah, right.
So in the Invisalign, sorry, going back to that, does the Invisalign, does it come in and out? Or because braces, once they're in, and you have the rubber bands and all those crazy things. When you have the Invisalign, they can take it in and out of the mouth. Is that right?
Right. So that's what I go over with parents. So there's going to be pros and cons to braces and Invisalign. So the pros to braces are, you know, if a parent is concerned, if this was for a child and they're concerned about compliance, well, yes, the Invisalign does to come in and out. So you take it out to eat, you just pop it out, it comes out pretty easily, and you eat, and then you brush, or if you can't brush, you're going to rinse really well, and then you're going to put it back in. So it has to be in for 22 hours a day.
Okay, so you do sleep in it then?
You do, yes, yes. To have tooth movement, that tooth has to have constant pressure. So the plastic works great, but only if you wear it all the time. But, for example, for a lot of our kids, we tell parents, look, if your child is not wearing it, we will take the Invisalign off, put braces on at no extra charge. And the reason why is because it never happens. It's very rare that we have, honestly, a non-compliant patient.
Sure.
So, yeah, it comes in and out. You can brush really easily. So obviously with braces, it's a little harder to brush.
Yeah.
You get food caught a little bit more, so a chance of staining around that brace. So with the Invisalign, you can just take it out. You can brush and floss super easily, and then you can put it back in. It's fairly invisible. You are going to have these little attachments on the teeth that are tooth colored, but it's not noticeable for a picture. Maybe if you're up close, but now again, I tell a lot of adults, I say, look, I mean, it's like a household name. You know, you see someone and you can kind of see they have Invisalign, you know what they're doing. So it's not this embarrassing thing where it's like, what's on your teeth? I mean, most people know, oh, they're doing Invisalign.
The teenagers, worse nightmare when they have to get the metal on their teeth. How about the kids with why do the kids who have braces that have like an attachment almost to it? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
With the Invisalign? Or no?
No.
With the braces?
Yeah.
So like for rubber bands?
No, that's like a metal.
Oh, yeah. That's, okay, so that's a Herbst appliance, or it's for if you have a big overbite. So it has to help that lower jaw come forward. Yeah, so there's certain appliances that you can use, but actually Invisalign is coming out with all of these mechanisms to actually help that same thing. So there's a few different newer Invisalign models that will actually help that lower jaw come forward.
Technology is the best.
Yeah, it's really cool.
With going to the dentist or going to an orthodontist, what's so important to me is how advanced they are in technology. So how is that with your business? I'm sure it's helping with you, and do you see Invisalign being the only thing and we don't even have braces anymore or something like that?
I don't think that will go that far, but I mean, there are a lot of orthodontists that have gone just full Invisalign because it does help with the efficiency in your office. So we see our patients less frequently with Invisalign. So I typically go 10 to 12 weeks or even more between seeing my Invisalign patients. So maybe that initial appointment, you know, we want to make sure they know what they're doing and things are what we call tracking and things are working. But once we know a patient's being compliant and the plan is working, you can kind of set it and forget it. And they're just really doing their changes at home. So usually you're wearing your aligner for about 7 to 14 days, depending on the complexity of the case. And then you're going to go on to your next one. But you have all of these at home. And then we're actually right now investing in something called dental monitoring, where we're going to have this cool box that will use AI to track how you're doing at home, and then it will only alert us if it's not going well. So then we're really going to cut down on the appointments that you actually have to come into the office for. So again, that's technology that we're about to bring into the office.
Even in the dental arena to be able to do that. That's incredible.
I know. It's going to be really cool.
So what is your philosophy if someone's listening and they're, you know, they know you have 5 De Pere, St. Charles,
Fenton, Wentzville, Creve Coeur, St. Peter's.
What's the experience coming into you? What makes you so unique compared to the other?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to come in, you're going to see like a bright, clean, modern office. So it's definitely
beautiful offices.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like white. They're very clean and white with like kind of pops of bright color work, fun for kids and adults. There's partitions, so we have privacy. So a lot of orthodontic offices have open bays where you're just kind of stacked on top of each other, where we have a little bit of privacy between each one. So I feel like, again, a lot of our adults appreciate that. But our culture in our office is phenomenal. I feel like that's the best feedback we get from our patients is like every single one of your team members has made me feel so comfortable. Everyone's in a good mood. Everyone's always laughing and they know about me and they're asking me about my life. So I think the experience is one of the best things that we have at our office.
Instagram posts are always fun.
Yeah, we're always like a little TikTok here, and just trying to have fun at the office. Obviously, it's serious, and we really care about customer service and quality work. But we want our staff to know that our patients to know we're all having fun. We're having a good time.
Sometimes it's not always the best feeling when you have to go to the orthodontist or the dentist or whatever. It's not something like, oh, here I go today. But if you're making it fun when they go in, and it's so vibrant and open to be able to go in here and kind of look forward to it.
Exactly.
Especially the candy machine.
I had a letter written by one of my adult patients, and it was so sweet. It was like 2 pages, but he had just finished his treatment, and he was explaining his experience. He just said, I have never been so uncomfortable that first day, like sitting in the waiting room. He's like, I've always been uncomfortable with my smile, but I just felt like, what am I doing? This is for kids. And he had that in his mind, and he was just so nervous. He said he almost left. Really? But he said, just explain, like the whole experience was just phenomenal, and he's never felt so comfortable. He absolutely loves his smile now. He smiles all the time. So it's just like stories like that we get all the time of, a lot of adults just say, I think the 3 things I always tell my new patients that come in, I say, most of my adults that finish treatment, they always say, I put this off for so long. I was just nervous to get started. I thought it was going to be terrible, and it just so wasn't. It wasn't as bad as I thought, and I'm so glad I did it. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's great.
Being here, so being from St. Louis area and growing up here, having your family here, and having your practices here, how important is it to do this for all the local communities and having this business and being a part? I mean, we love the fact that you're in our magazine. We love the ads that you have, and I love how you incorporate some of your patients. In fact, I had to drop a magazine off to one of your patients when you guys were first. Oh yeah, because her daughter was in the magazine, and she was just so excited to see it. How important is that for you for being a supporter of the local community?
Yeah, we're very much in the local community, and we donate to almost every school we possibly can. Anyone that calls us, we say, like, absolutely, let us help. So it's super important for us, and what else that's who we're servicing, so it's important for us to be in the community. We go to schools, we do presentations.
And I like your Jeep. Is it a Jeep?
Yeah, Bronco.
Bronco, the pink Bronco with
the brace bus.
The brace bus. That's fabulous. Yeah, I love that. So going back on his question, talking about that, and you said you donate to the schools. Mm-hmm. What do you mean when you get involved with the schools?
Yeah, so basically any of the trivia nights, we usually do a basket where it's like whitening or a discount off of braces. Some of the live auctions, we donate like a free round of a free set of braces, and that usually is one of the highest bids. So all that money is going to the school, and then they just have to bring a certificate in, and then their orthodontics is paid for. So that's most of the contributions that we can make. But pretty much anytime anyone has, it's a lot of trivia nights for, maybe someone is sick at a school and they're trying to raise money. So we'll donate, again, baskets or certificates and things like that.
Yeah. So the difference when you go to the dentist and then you go to you, what are the type of services? I know I've read that you do Botox. So what does that mean? What are more of the services? What does it mean to be Diamond Plus Invisalign? I mean, there's like so many different things. Like, why do we go to Otto.Orthodontics?
Yeah. So again, we're very aesthetic. So it's not just about just straightening teeth, so we're taking the face and the profile into consideration. So if someone comes in with a lot of crowding, a long time ago, you might have just said, okay, you just take out 4 teeth. So that was something that we did a long time ago. That's something that orthodontists still do today, which, there are cases where we have to do that, but it's usually pretty minimal. But we're going to take the face into consideration. So if someone has more of a straight profile, you really want to look at that and make sure that we're not extracting on this patient, because we may ditch in that profile more. So we want to do more lip support. We want to make our arches as broad as they can be. So we incorporate Botox for just, for fine lines. A lot for therapeutic diagnoses though. So we have for masseter. So if you're a clencher or a grinder, then that's where obviously it really relates to our profession. So you can do Botox in the masseters for clenching and grinding. But it also can, if you have this very big masseter, it can also smooth the facial shape as well.
I never thought of that. Yeah.
And then obviously when you're doing it, you just
kids getting.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's part of it too. It's like a one-stop shop. Mom can get Botox if their daughter or son is getting an adjustment. So we do Botox. We do whitening, obviously Invisalign, braces, We used to do filler. We've kind of gone away from filler, but really any aesthetic option for the face.
And if a tooth has to, well, that's the Botox. But if a tooth has to be extracted, crowns, things like that.
We don't do that. No, okay, so that's all the dentist.
Okay, because it's like, what's the difference of knowing who you're supposed to go to, and do you have to be kind of like when you go to the doctor, do they have to get a request from a dentist to be able to go to an orthodontist, or can they make an appointment with you?
You don't have, and that's also a misconcept too of, I have to have a referral. No, you can just call and make an appointment. So a lot of times a patient's going to bring in a referral, but it's absolutely not necessary. But we do work very closely with a lot of dentists. So a lot of dentists will refer us a patient and say, hey, I need to do this crown, but I can't because the teeth are not in the right position. Or this patient wants to do veneers, but I can't do it because the teeth are not in a safe spot.
Then
like if they were to go, right, so we set them up for the dentist to then do the restorative work. So we work very closely with dentists. And we also, and this is not like every orthodontist, we really require our patients to have dentists. We're not just gonna have any patient come in and they have cavities or they haven't had a cleaning and we just slap some braces on. We really require them to have a healthy mouth before we're gonna go in and move the teeth.
Yeah. And you don't just have, it's not, Invisalign isn't just for somebody with maybe, out of line teeth and things. I mean, sometimes you could have a large gap maybe that you're wanting to close up. It can
crowding,
be simple
for spacing,
as that.
for bite correction. There's again, setting up for restorative work for your dentist. Sometimes the bite is off and your jaw is hurting. So we have to go in and adjust the teeth because you might be biting down, but you have a little interference and then there's like a little slide. And every time you're doing this slide, it's aggravating this muscle and it's aggravating this joint. So we see patients for TMJ pain, we see patients where their bites align, they have an overbite or an underbite or a crossbite, just crowding for straightening, spacing. So there's tons of reasons.
Gosh.
I know. It's crazy. It's got me thinking, do I go in and get...
Well, sometimes as you're like, I've been lucky. I never had to have braces or anything and have straight teeth. I had a little gap that came together. Yeah. But sometimes as you age, they do start to move a little bit. You may have had straight teeth all your life, but then as you age, everything goes wrong.
I know. Yes. And we explain this to adults. So we want, when we set up a smile, we want to see as much of those top teeth as you can, because as you age, you're going to slowly see less and less of your top teeth. And you have pressure from your lips, you have pressure from your tongue, and when you bite down, you're putting those forces on your bottom teeth. So your teeth are absolutely going to move from all of those forces if you don't have something holding. So even if you never had braces, you still should be in a retainer at nighttime, so your teeth are not going to continue to move throughout your lifetime.
That's true. And you'll continue to wear that use that forever then, just to make sure that they're not moving then. So with your daughter having Invisalign, will she always need something from there as she moves? And then teeth are, she still has more teeth to come in?
No, she has all of her permanent teeth.
They're all there. So that's when a parent wants to wait, is when the permanent teeth are in.
So we actually want to see kids at 7 years old. So the American Association of Orthodontics states that 7 years old is typically a good time to bring your child in, even if there's nothing wrong. We do not charge for consults. That's another misconception, like, well, if I bring my child in, we're going to have to pay for x-rays, pay for records, pay for this consult, and then they're definitely going to tell us we have to do something. And that's just not the case. There's tons of kids that come in and I say, they look great. I'm glad they're seeing our office. They get to know our staff. They get to see how the things work, so they're not nervous. And we're just going to keep watching them, maybe every 9 months or so, and take an x-ray until they're ready that they will need something.
Yeah. What is your rewards program that you have?
Yeah, that's super fun. And again, that's another thing that sets us apart. So we have this, so you get points for certain things. For good grades, you can bring your report card in. So if you're in treatment, for good brushing, for good rubber band wear, for making your appointments on time. So there's all these reasons where you get these points. We have contests where if you vote, you get a point, so there's lots of different ways. And then you can win gift cards, custom Nikes, iPad, lots of different gift cards.
I wish I was a kid.
Yeah, they can. Kids get super excited for that. They're like, did I do a good job? How many points did I get today?
That's so great.
Yeah, it's fun.
And then also we're excited too, because if you are listening to the show, and we've been talking about that every day, if you do mention the In Your City show, $1,000 off. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Every time I say it the same way.
She does.
I?
Wow, that's a lot.
Gosh, can't believe I keep saying that. You sure it's not a typo and it's $100 off?
No.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Because even if you have insurance, they don't cover what they should.
Yeah, and to be transparent is typically we cannot combine it with insurance. So if you have insurance, we have a contract with that insurance company saying we will not change this number.
Okay.
So and you're going to get a better deal with insurance. But if you have no insurance, and this $1,000 off goes a long way.
Okay.
But then we also do 24-month interest-free financing.
You have payment plans as well.
We make it and if you say, look, this doesn't work for me, we'll say, okay, what can we do? We'll stretch it out to 30 months. Let's make this monthly payment something that's not going to tax you too much.
Yeah.
So we're very flexible on that too.
How do you move around between 5 of them?
So I primarily met the DePere office, but I do go to each office, especially if we have someone on maternity leave or someone out of town. So I feel like this year I've already been at least at each office at least once or more. And then I go just to check in, just to say hi to the team members, just to be present, make sure our processes and our culture and everything that our standard of care is what it should be. But yeah, so my days off are not my days off. I have to work on my Invisalign because it's a lot of computerized Invisalign. So I'm on my computer a lot, working on a lot of our Invisalign cases. And then on my days off, I might, see you guys or go meet a general dentist for lunch or stop by an office. So I'm typically working every day, even if I'm not seeing patients.
So what do you do for fun when you're not working? Tell us that, Gena.
Well, I hang out with my girls. I have 3 girls. My littlest is not here. But yeah, I hang out with my kids. I love spending time with my family. We love to travel. I love to play. I'm their volleyball coach, so we do a lot of
that's great.
We do a lot of volleyball outside in the driveway. I love to read. So we've been trying to do a lot of reading this summer. So it's been a nice family thing where I've been getting into different books while they're reading too. So when I'm reading, it helps them get into their reading that they have to do every day. But yeah, hang out with friends, going to dinner, all the fun stuff.
Gordon came home, so when he met you all, of course, first when you opened up your St.
Like,
Charles.
Yeah.
I was
he comes home.
I don't know if they're orthodontists or
soap opera stars. The most beautiful couple I've ever seen.
Oh, you're so nice.
Your husband was there when I met you.
Yeah. Because they look like soap opera stars. And then, of course, I go to do the photo shoot with you. I'm like, oh my gosh, they are, and their gifts are so cute.
Sweet.
And then I had accidentally met them being at their school, so it was so adorable.
They were so excited.
Yeah,
we read our Olive book all the time, especially my 6-year-old.
There she is, right up there.
Yeah, there she is.
But it's just such a small world how things go around, though. But yeah, he couldn't quit talking about.
And your illustrator works at my kid's school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
They're art teacher.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I know. What a small world.
The second one actually is getting ready.
Out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
she's
awesome.
already
Just finished all
That's
the illustrations,
amazing.
which this one is Ono, a Big Bad Bully.
Oh,
and
I can't wait to read it.
It's precious in that. Oh my gosh, the drawings are just
they're
so
amazing.
aren't
She's
they?
very talented.
And she's so sweet.
Yeah.
Do you all have her as a teacher? Oh my gosh, is she the only art teacher?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't know if there's more because it's a big school
Yeah.
too. But yeah, so she's everyone's teacher, and that. Oh well, we love her, so it's so adorable. She's going to be getting married.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
So our question of the day is, if you could have a past from the blast, you could bring it back, what would that be?
You said a pass from the blast.
A blast from the past.
Blast from the past. How far back are we going? Or it could be
anything that you wish would be.
You made him
back.
start talking about streaking, not that he wants to.
No, that's a fad. I said it was are you talking about
You're
a fad?
not old enough to be at that time, but my gosh, that was a crazy fad that went on, whatever. Mine, I think, would be, I wish that, now, I didn't then, I wish everything was closed on Sunday like it used to be. And again, we're too old. Things weren't open on Sunday, so you knew you had a day that you were off.
Everybody was
we
off.
work 24/7 now because of technology. It's like you're never off, and you feel bad if you don't get back with them.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to go with, was honestly like the days before we had those phones with us all the time.
Yes.
I feel like I almost like have ADD now because I have to be doing 3 things at once. Like I am watching TV, talking to my kids, working on my computer, and my phone sitting here. It's just like, I wish it was back to when it was just easier and your mind wasn't going
came home, you were
a mile a minute. Right, exactly. It was a little simpler.
Really, the only way people could get a hold of you. I mean, when you left the house until you came home,
you can't
even
imagine
you found a
it
payphone
now.
along the road or something like that.
I cannot imagine it.
Yeah.
But I mean, what it brings is, it's unbelievable. It's at your fingertips, anything that you want to know. But it's also scary at the same point on where's the critical thinking, you know?
And it's oh my gosh, I know, especially with AI, right? And then the watches, his watch, you know, tells him everything.
Right.
They've got the glasses now. I mean, pretty soon I always say we're just going to be punching in the air
Right.
soon. It's going to be like a hologram type where you're just doing it. So I think there's probably a lot of things I'd love to of the past. It does bring us to where we are, but it was a simpler, especially in our time, a simpler time that like your kids, they'll never know because they're growing up in this new world of technology. So to them, it's always funny when a kid's like, "What's that dial phone?" Or
I know.
Like that
I love those funny Instagrams where they're like, you know, asking the kids if they know what this is, and they're like, no.
They leave the room to see what they start doing on it. They hear that dial tone. You know,
they're like, "What is this?"
I mean, we remember that beep beep when you call somebody. So it is a different world, but. Otto.Orthodontics is new age, and you're using all the latest technology. And within your locations, they're beautiful. And we hope that if there's someone out there that is needing some orthodontic care, that they will definitely check out Otto. You actually have one right down the street.
That's
it's
our
on
repair
Manchester.
office.
Right down the street. We pass it all the time. Like, oh, there they are.
Yeah.
And wave to them. We appreciate you so much.
Yeah, thank you
being
for
part of the
having
show,
me.
coming in and sharing knowledge. We look forward to more tips and education and being able to have a more beautiful smile. We always talk about a friend of ours that did get his smile fixed, and it's two people. And the amazing thing is that they never smiled before.
We just thought he was grumpy all the time.
Yeah,
really.
And a lot of people will train their lips to where, and they say like, I right, and you know they can smile big, but they're so trained of going, you know, are very small to hide it. Yeah, and then that totally changes over time when we're straightening the teeth and whitening.
It really does make such a big difference.
It does.
It really does. So thank you for what you do, and
of course.
Thanks for your darling girls coming in. You're so precious, and we will look forward to seeing you again soon. This is Gena Otto. And she is Otto.Orthodontics. You got to check it out for yourself. You won't be sorry. All right, we're going to take it to a break right here on the luinfo.com, on demand 24/7, and of course, always on the radio dial at 590 AM. I have no idea. I don't even know how I got here today. This is one of lack of brain cells.
Well, I'll take her out. We'll be right back. You're listening to In Your City Show with Kelly and Gordon.
Back within your city show. Just had another great interview, Angela Skirtu, then we have Gena Otto in, and then now we're going to speak to Emily Stahl. She's the creative force at Emily Stahl Design Company. She talks branding, creativity, and she makes things vibrant and more beautiful here in St. Louis. And I have my own personal hat that I was able to get of one of her designs while I was in Vita. So welcome to the show, Emily. How are you?
All right, we're going to have to make sure why your mic's not working again. It should be working. Hold on, Emily.
This is always the fun stuff of virtual interviews, is making sure that we can hear everybody.
Let's try it. Hold on. All right, talk.
Okay. You can hear me all right. So I'll just tell Emily's journey. She's a graphic designer, lettering artist. She began that when she was in college. She has worked full-time, 8.5 years, top of running her business. And she was let go in May. And so, you know, when things like that happen, you start like looking at your creativity and what is it that, you know, you might want to do after that. And so right now you can find her items in the White Rabbit in Brentwood, the Cozy Shop on Main Street, St. Charles, the Hill. Oh my gosh, she's literally at a lot of places with her designs. And so are we able to hear her yet so that we can have a conversation
Emily, try to talk
with
to
her?
me one more time.
Hello.
Well, so we're virtually here at luinfo.com, so you could be able to see her pretty face up on the screen, but we're also on the radio dial, which can be quite annoying.
I think I heard you. Say hi again, Emily.
Okay. Hello.
I don't know.
Which can be awful annoying when we can't get the person virtually to get on there.
We can see you.
Yes, we sure can. She does a lot of, actually even for the working with local high schools as well, which is wonderful, creating those products. And I want to talk to you. It looks like your design dream job is to create a mural, which is awesome in itself there. So are you going to be able to get this fixed so that we can actually speak with her?
Emily, can you check your mic on the system on your end and make sure it's not muted?
Yes. It's not muted.
Yeah.
All
She's
right.
all the way up.
And
Let me leave and
the
come
wonderful
back.
thing of being live right now. I don't know.
She's coming back on. She's going to try to pop back on here.
Okay. So this is what is the worst thing of being live.
Right, when the mics don't work, somehow it's on, and it could. We don't know if it's on. We know it's not on our end because I did it. So if it comes back on her end, we'll have to see.
Then it might be able to work.
We can hear her just fine on the YouTube.
Okay.
We can hear her, but I don't know why you guys can't.
Yeah, that's really so they're hearing her. So that is
Really weird.
really strange. So
Why
don't we
get me some headphones?
We're going to take a quick little break, Grant. Why don't you take us to a break and let's figure out so we can actually have a great conversation with Emily Stahl. So we're going to be right back here on luinfo.com. If you're listening to us on the radio dial,
Stay
sorry
right there,
about that,
Emily.
but we're going to be right back with more here on luinfo.com.
I don't understand.
Well, it's our end because if they can hear it on YouTube,
Yeah.
it's our end. Do you have the remote turned up right?
Let me get some headphones real quick. I need with a 1/8 inch, a 1/8 inch. Doesn't have the right end on it. You might just have to do this interview with her, hon. Emily, can you hear me? I don't know why it's not working. You said you could hear her?
I could hear at the end. You couldn't at first, and all of a sudden you could hear when she said she was going to leave.
Okay. You there, Emily? Give her phone number.
You can. What did she just gave a thumbs up? What did that?
I can't hear her though. Yeah, I could heard you. I can't hear you, but you can hear me, right?
Yeah. And I can hear you now. I just muted myself now since I'm on the phone.
Go ahead and put yourself.
All right, we're back in your city show here live on luinfo.com. And gosh, sometimes, when you're live and virtual, technical issues, technology is the greatest until it doesn't work. But you can find all the shows, including ours, at Apple, Spotify, and everywhere that you stream, which is cool. You can go to luinfo.com and subscribe so that way you can check everything out. You can go to In Your City Show. Be sure you can watch any of the shows over and over, which is awesome, and we'd love you to subscribe as well. You can find us at Instagram and also Facebook. And if you'd like to message us and let us know something you'd like to maybe listen to live in the studio, that would be great. So Emily, we will have back on. Emily Stahl is an incredible designer, and an illness has left her to work within her home, and so she's able to do this and create all these great designs for the Blues, the Cardinals, and for retail stores. And I'm really looking forward to be able to show some of her great designs. We'll have her back on the show, talk about designing with heart. I mean, that's seriously, that's what it's about, collaborating with community. There you can see we are St. Louis. Everything is very, very local that she has. Look at some of her great hats that she does. And she actually works directly with the Blues and Cardinals. And there's Emily herself. I love the murals that are behind her on her wall for her ad.
That's really
but
cool.
she really does do some great work. So we want to have her back, and we want to be able to talk to her and be able to hear her. But what do you're holding something there. Is there something you're going to tell me about?
13 things to remove from your life.
Technology. You, after not getting around virtually, is about to go. We're going to need to read Angela's book to get. We're going to need some relationship counseling after today.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, stop
Things
it.
happen.
Things happen.
Kelly's not good when things happen.
No, I'm a perfectionist.
Oh my gosh.
And when we're bringing you a show, it's about bringing you a show. It's not about bringing you, hey, can you hear me now?
Okay.
Talk.
Okay, blast. A pass from the blast.
Yes.
Was that perfect? No.
That's different. That you can make fun of me about. I can live with that. You can make fun of me all you want as long as the show is great.
Sometimes technology works. The bad thing about technology is it's on both ends, so that's what sometimes can be a problem. So, but 13 things. Are you ready for 13 things?
I was pretty finished with you.
Wow.
What do you want to play the
play
guitar
a sad
now?
song now? Is this thing even tuned?
It's right now. It's
Doesn't love me anymore. Okay, we're done.
That was pretty good. Keep going. Let's hear
Things
what else
go
you come up with.
wrong. She
All right.
goes south.
Give us the rest.
That'd be a great country song. When things go wrong, she goes south.
Dog.
South
My truck doesn't work. My dog died. All right, go ahead.
My dog will always love me.
Let's see
13
what you
things
got.
removed from your life. Clothes you haven't worn in a year. How many clothes are in your closet that are over a year old?
This dress that I'm wearing
But have you worn it in a year?
is 12 years old.
But have you worn it in a year? It says things you haven't worn in a year.
No, I probably haven't worn it in a year. I found it in the closet and said, it's hot out today. I'm going to wear something that, I don't know, that I could get air.
Expired makeup and skincare. Do you have any expired makeup or skincare?
Probably not that, because I'm pretty big on makeup and skincare. I wouldn't want to, it doesn't last long anyway. I use it so
Broken
much.
gadgets, collecting dust.
That would be you.
That would be
I
me.
don't keep junk.
Shoes that hurt your feet.
Probably have a few in the closet I need to never wear again.
And we do have these. Worn out towels and sheets.
Oh my.
Back to our sex therapist. Okay.
Oh.
Outdated magazines.
Well, we probably have a stack of our magazines that are
Right.
everywhere. They're not really outdated, but we pretty
Toys
much
your
keep
kids
them all.
outgrew. No? Well, I've got toys that I've outgrown.
Yes.
Junk emails cluttering your inbox. Absolutely 100%.
Junk email. Yes. In one of my emails.
Apps you've never opened. How many apps do you have on your phone?
That's
that you
only
don't
because
use?
they're accidentally put on there, because when you update your phone, have you noticed that sometimes there's these extra apps that come on your phone?
How about duplicate or blurry photos?
I have a zillion duplicate in my phone, and I can't stand that. But sometimes you don't see them until you're like looking.
You know how long it would take to go through
Oh
all
my
your
gosh,
photos?
it takes forever. That's what you do in the bathroom. Get rid of photos.
And last but not, subscriptions you don't need. I'll say yes to that.
Like I don't have magazine subscriptions.
No, like
and
apps, subscriptions, apps
Yeah,
that you don't.
you do need to get rid of a few. In fact, did you get rid of your gym membership? Since you
Negative
have two of them?
Negative friendships.
Notice how we ignored that? Yeah.
Negative friendships. I'm talking
Negative
this, right?
friendships?
Do you have any negative friendships that you need to remove from your life?
I don't think I do now.
They're pretty much removed.
I think they removed me.
All right,
Is that it?
that's all I got.
That's all you got?
That's all I got on that list. I've got a ton of these lists, which are pretty interesting.
So would you have, if I go like this and I just open it up? Okay, that's what I did. So I've got the book from our guest, Small Town, Missouri, that came in. And so I just opened the book to see what it would come to. Marshfield. Have you heard of Marshfield?
Marshfield.
Yeah, never heard of Marshfield. Our lights are really bright.
Wait,
in here.
where's it located? Oh, it's in Missouri, right? Because it's
Well, everything's in everything's
right.
in
Well,
Missouri.
no, you know what? I got confused then because when I was in Ohio, it was Mansfield, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
That's where Shawshank Redemption was filmed, and I was there. So
you had to
Mansfield and
and you had to
Marshfield were
stop
kind
and
of
sit
close.
on the
I
bench.
did, yeah. Go ahead.
So this is Webster County, population 7,458. It's natural beauty, fascinating stones. It's located in the southwest Missouri. It's the first European settlers in the area that came in the 1830s. So I guess there's a lot of historical, things after the Civil War. If you like really going into taking the popular Route 66, that's going to take you into there. Legends born here is Edwin P. Hubble, a groundbreaking astronomer. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, the Hubble telescope.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, of course.
There we
yes.
go.
Well, you just needed to put it in a sentence. It helps so much when things are in a sentence.
Comedy, right there for you.
Education. Events, you can visit the Marshfield for events throughout the year, including the Cherry Blossom Festival, the Webster County Fair, and Independence Day Rodeo, Harvest Days. I would like that. And then a truck and tractor pull. Kind of your typical small town events.
I love tractor pulls. They're fun.
They're dusty and loud too.
Yeah.
But they can be
fun. We had a
they
good
can
time,
be
wasn't
a can be a good time. Vital fun facts. In the early 1900s, the county exported nearly 50% the state's tomatoes.
Tomato or
They were
tomatoes?
known either one. They were
Okay.
known for it. Approximately 200 factories throughout the county. That's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Sure, that's not a typo. It's not. That's an incredible amount.
And
For
you know
a
what?
population
So-
of 7,000. They must everybody worked in the factory.
So when we had Caitlin on,
Yeah.
I was telling her about, I thought it was Fayette, but it was Glasgow that had that
And it's in here.
little pharmacy that had like the soda shop in it. It was Glasgow.
It's
And
in here.
She does have it in there.
Population 1,087. There were more in my senior class that is in the county of Glasgow.
We used to have to go to through Glasgow to get to Slater, Missouri, where my mom and dad grew up. And it was always scared me because as you go into Glasgow, you go down the hill, and this hill looks like it's going to go right into the river. It's so steep. So
That sounds
that used to always
super
scare me as a
scary.
kid.
Hey, thanks for listening. Technical problems and all right here on demand. LouInfo.com, streaming 24/7. Be sure to check us out. We'll be back to tomorrow, maybe. Until then, cheers.
Cheers.